Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover, and this is my monthly wrap up. Now, I was going to do this with everything that I did, movies and books, but instead I'm going to do this in three different videos, and I think it's the best way to do it because the video got a little long. But let's talk about the books that I've read in the month of May. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I have a YouTube channel to where I talk about books and movies. And in this video, I'm going to talk about all the books I read this month. And I've read some pretty interesting books, so let's talk about it. But before I talk about the books, I actually want to thank my audience for being here. I want you to know that I really appreciate you giving me your time. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I love you all. So the way that I've got to do this is because from now on every month I can't do a monthly wrap up with everything. I've got to have three videos. I've got one video to where I talk about the books I've read this month. The next video is going to be the movies that I watched this month, and the next video is going to be the things that are coming this month. So yeah, I tried to do it in one video, but it was just too long. I didn't even make it to what's coming. So let's just get into these books. I've read quite a few books this month and a lot of really good ones. So we're going to start off with the first one. Now, the first one was a story collection by Stephen King. This is Night Shift. And I really enjoyed a lot of this book. This book has a lot of great stories in it. Some of the stories were not my favorite, but a lot of these were really fantastic. The Mangler was great. Man on the Ledge was great. Quitters Incorporated was great. There was a couple other really awesome stories. One for the Road. I really loved that as well. Really good book. I highly recommend Night Shift. It was a great collection of short stories by Stephen King, and I do recommend that. Okay, so the next book that I read was by Harper Lee, and this was Go Set a Watchman. This is the second Harper Lee book that I've read, and the first book that I read was To Kill a Mockingbird. And To Kill a Mockingbird was fantastic. I really loved that novel. And this one was okay, but I definitely think To Kill a Mockingbird was a far superior novel and a lot more interesting. Although this had some interesting parts that were pretty interesting, and I enjoyed it. Okay, so the next book that I read was this book right here. This is If Cats Disappeared from the World. This was written by Genki Kawamura. Kawamura, I believe I'm saying the name correctly. It's this book right here. And this is a story to where somebody's about to die, and the devil visits him, and the devil says that he could give him another day, but every extra day that he gets to live, something's got to be taken away. And it's really interesting on the things that get taken away and the results when things are taken away from life. And it was a pretty interesting and enlightening book. I really enjoyed it a lot. It had some very interesting parts in it. And this is a book that I've read very quickly. It's written in a style that's very straightforward, not confusing, and I really enjoyed this a lot. I don't know if, because this is a book from somebody that's Japanese, I don't know if there was some talent in this book that came from the person that translated this. But whoever put this together, they did a great job with this book, and I really like this a lot. Okay, so the next book that I read was William Peter Blatty book, and this was the second book I read by him. The other book I read was The Exorcist, and this was The Ninth Configuration. Now, this was a pretty interesting story. This is a story that's like set in like a mansion, and all the people at this mansion are either crazy or they're acting like they're crazy. And most of this book is people just acting really bizarre and saying bizarre things, but still having an intelligence about them. They're not stupid. They just seem like they're out of their mind. But then at the very end of this movie, it twist to something different, and it's got a really fantastic ending to this book. Now, the thing about it is on the back of the book it says a thriller, no, a horror. Like they tried to say that, pass this off as a horror novel, and I'm going to tell you, The Exorcist is a horror novel, but this is not a horror novel. This is more like a thriller with a twist to it, and the twist is very good. I really love the ending of this book, but it's not a scary book. But I still recommend Ninth Configuration. The Ninth Configuration is definitely worth your time. And I do plan on watching the movie pretty soon. I haven't seen the movie yet. So the next book that I read was this one right here. And this is a book by Nicholas Pileggi. And this is Wise Guy. And this is the story of Goodfellas. Now, the thing about it is, I really love the movie Goodfellas, and I really enjoyed this book. Both were fantastic, but I gotta say, the Martin Scorsese really put this story together so well, and he made this movie Goodfellas out of this book, and they really did a great presentation of this material. I mean, this was great material reading. But what really made it interesting, because it reminded me of the movie Goodfellas. And it was, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. There's a lot of parts of this book that are, directly in the movie. You know what I mean? There's a lot of famous scenes that you'll remember from the movie as you're reading this book. And yeah, and it was a very interesting book. Although I got to tell you, at the end of this book, Henry Hill, the guy that turned on everybody, really felt like a traitor at the end of this book, And it's like, he didn't care. He was like the type of traitor that would, be in the courtroom and like, look you in the eye and then say, yeah, he's this and he's that. Although, at the same time, he's turning in people that were pretty ruthless, that would kill you for very small reasons. But yes, this was a great book, although it was not as good as The Godfather. The Godfather, the book of The Godfather, that was a little bit better. I do like the movie Goodfellas better than The Godfather, but I enjoyed the book of The Godfather more than I enjoyed Wise Guy. Okay, so the next book that I read was this one right here. And this is Herzog by Saul Bellow. And this is the story of Moses Herzog. And it's like he's thinking about his past relationships. And his most recent relationship is a person that got with one of his friends. And this is just his thoughts about all the people that he's dealing with. And it's like he's very angry about this, and he's thinking about this. And this is also a person that writes a lot of letters to people, but a lot of these letters that he's writing them in his head. And yeah, it's pretty much like a very short period of time. This is like 3 days, and it really, you go into this guy's head, and it was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. The thing about it is though, the part of this book makes you think it's going to go one way, but it doesn't. And I was hoping that it would go the way that I thought it was going to go, but instead it didn't go that way, and it goes another way. But it was still a great book, and I definitely want to read more Saul Bellow. He's definitely a great author, and I do recommend Herzog. That was a great book as well. Okay, so the next book I read was a short story collection of Franz Kafka. And this has 4 stories of Franz Kafka, and this is like a famous author. One interesting thing about this is that one of these stories, Metamorphosis, I think this is like the first science fiction story ever. You know what I mean? Because they say that Frankenstein is the first science fiction novel ever, and this was written in 1912, which is a little bit earlier than Frankenstein. I believe Frankenstein was 1918, I think it was. I'm not sure, but I think that's when it was. So this is a little bit earlier. But this has 4 short stories in it. It's got The Judgment, which was a unique short story, but I had to kind of like read it twice to understand it. It's a little bit hard to understand, but now that I've read it twice, I kind of get it, you know what I mean? But when I first read it, it's just like this kind of weird thing. But it wasn't so bad because it was like 12 pages long, so it wasn't hard to reread it. And it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Then they had the story The Stroker that was pretty interesting as well, but not as good as The Judgment. But then the best story of this book was Metamorphosis. And Metamorphosis is a fantastic story. That was a very good thing to read. It's a short story, but it's still a little bit longer of a short story. And it's very interesting. This is a story about a guy that just wakes up one day, looks down, and he's an insect. And it goes into how he deals with being an insect and dealing with his new life as an insect, and how his family deal with him being an insect as well. It was really interesting. I really love that story. That's a very classic story, and I could see why. And then the last thing was Letter to His Father, and that one wasn't my favorite. This is a story about somebody like pretty much writing this long letter. It's a long letter, and it's a letter kind of telling his father that he's a hypocrite. But the thing about it is like, I don't think you understand this. If you've got a parent like that that's really strict on you, I hope you realize that when a parent is like that, they're not doing it because they're a jerk. They're doing it because they want you to have a better life than they had, and they want you to be successful, more successful than them. So when you have a parent that's like that, that's really harsh on you and really trying to push you to be your best, that's not a bad thing to have as a parent. But this guy was really upset with his father. He was very angry because he felt like his father was a hypocrite. And it's just a long letter to his father that's like he's kind of criticizing his father. But yeah, all in all, this is my first Franz Kafka experience, and it was pretty great because of Metamorphosis. That was definitely a fantastic story. Really interesting, really cool. A lot of fun. Okay, so the next thing that I read was a short story, and this is based off of the movie The Lion King. And I actually did the audiobook of this that's going to be coming on my channel in a couple weeks. And I had a great time making this audiobook because this is a great story. I really love The Lion King, and I really do my best to do a little bit of voice acting in the story. And I had a great time doing it. It's about 15 minutes long, and it's actually a pretty good coverage of The Lion King. You get the whole movie, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's a great Disney story. So, okay, so the next thing that I read was the classic Winnie the Pooh, and this was a fantastic novel. Now, this is in 10 different chapters, and you could actually read all these chapters out of order, and it would still be the same thing. There's not really a connecting story to these chapters, but they were great. A lot of these stories were really cute, but I gotta say, Chapter 7 was hilarious. I was actually laughing out loud when I read Chapter 7. And an interesting thing that's that this is missing Tigger. And Tigger was one of my favorite characters, and it's surprising that Tigger was not part of the original cast of characters, But yes, this is great. I really love the characters in the book. Rabbit was a great character. Igor was a great character. Piglet, Christopher Robin, really cool. I really loved that book, and it had some great animation illustrations in that book as well. So the next book that I read was one of the best books that I've read this year. This was fantastic. This is a book called Water for Elephants, and this was written by Sarah Gruer. I think I'm saying her name correctly. And this is a story that's kind of like The Green Mile, to where you have an older person going back in time and talking about his life in the past. And this is a story of life in the circus and what they went through being on a circus train. And it's really incredible, the person that wrote this, because this was written in 2006, and this is set in 1930 in the circus. And this person didn't have a lot of experience with circuses, but yet she did a bunch of research and she came up with this book, and it's just fantastic. This is a type of story that you'll laugh one chapter, and then the next chapter you'll feel like crying. And it's got some very serious parts. It's got a pretty decent ending, and the story of being told by the person in the old folks' home was very interesting, and I really enjoyed that part of the story. I really recommend Waterfall Elephants. It was a fantastic novel, and I hope more people read this and review this, because it was great. It was really fantastic. I loved it. Okay, so the next book that I read was my second Kurt Vonnegut. This is my second Kurt Vonnegut book that I've read, and this is Cat's Cradle. I've read Slaughterhouse-Five, and that was a great book, but this book was pretty interesting as well. This is a guy that's writing a book, and he's writing this a story on the family of the person that dropped the bomb, and he's talking to this family, and they wind up getting together and going on an island, San Lorenzo, and there's this invention, Ice 9, and once you learn about Ice 9, it's a pretty interesting invention. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, Ice 9 was a interesting invention they talk about, and it was a lot of fun on what happens with the Ice 9. And I enjoyed it quite a bit, but nowhere near as Slaughterhouse-Five. Now, the next one I read was another audiobook that I did, and this is E.T. the Extraterrestrial, as told by Gertrude. And I did this audiobook. This is a 10-minute audiobook. This was a lot of fun. I really love the movie E.T., and this really covers the story of E.T. pretty well. You got all the parts, them riding the bike over the town and all that. And I really enjoyed it. It was fun doing this audiobook. I've got more audiobooks coming, but this is my second one, since I'm going to be doing this every other week. So look forward to checking that out. And yes, I enjoyed that very much. It was, for a short story, it was a lot of fun. And the last book that I read this month was a great one. This one was King Kong. I just finished this today, and it was amazing. I gotta say, man, this is the second time I read this, and it is really wonderful. Now, it's different than the movie. One thing that's really different is that when King Kong's running around with Anne, the woman, he's not holding her like this. He's holding her, like cradling her and holding her like this and running around and fighting and doing things like this. And instead of a T-Rex, there's Triceratops. And King Kong actually does some different things in the book. And it is a very well-written book. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this book a lot. Here it is. Love this book. This book was fantastic. I definitely want to read this again, because this was engaging. And it's not long. It's like 200 pages long. And there's a lot of people that could read this in one setting, like one day. If somebody really tried to, they could read this in a day, and it is very, very enjoyable. Okay, and the last thing is what I just started on, and this is Vanity Fair. This is written by William Makepeace Thackeray, and I really like the beginning so far. It looks like it's going to turn out pretty interesting. I actually read 3 chapters, but I read 3 chapters twice, and it's a little bit more clear the second time. And yeah, this is a pretty cool book. This is like a really classic book, and I've heard about this. I've had this a while. This is a beautiful copy, and I'm really looking forward to reading this pretty soon. So here we are, 19 minutes, almost 20 minutes, And that's just the books that I covered. So I'm going to have another video coming in a couple of days where I talk about all the movies. That's going to be another long video. And then I've got another video coming to where I'm going to talk about the videos that I have coming in the month of June. So that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed this. That would mean a lot to me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you read any of these books? What you think about these books? I would love to hear from you. If you've subscribed to my channel, I really want to thank you for doing that. But if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and come out and hang out with me for a couple more videos. I make videos three times in the week. I make videos now. I was doing 2 videos a week. Now I'm doing 3 videos a week. So I got a lot of stuff coming and a lot of interesting stuff. As you can see, these books were amazing. I had a great reading month this month. So, but yeah, that's it. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I want to thank you for coming by. And please come by and check out more of my videos. And I hope to see you in the next video.